In the sun-warmed hills of Bethany, not far from the holy city of Jerusalem, lived a woman whose faith and service would echo through the centuries. Saint Martha, sister to Mary and Lazarus, is remembered not for visions or martyrdom, but for something equally divine: her steadfast heart, her hands that served, and her soul that believed. She welcomed Christ into her home and in her life, not just once but always. In her kitchen, in her grief, and in her joy, Martha encountered the living God. She is the saint of everyday faith, of quiet strength, of trust that stands even when all seems lost. This is her story, a journey not of distant miracles, but of love lived close to the ground, in the dust of roads walked by the Savior himself. A tale of service and surrender, of sorrow and resurrection. A story that still speaks today to hearts longing to both act and believe. Chapter 1. The House in Bethany. Bethany was not a grand city. Nestled on the eastern slope of the Mount of Olives, it was a quiet village where olive trees swayed in the breeze and dust clung to travelers' feet. But within its humble bounds stood a home that heaven knew well, the house of Martha. She was the eldest of 3 siblings: Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. Orphans, perhaps, or simply bound by deep familial love, their home became a haven of welcome, known throughout the region for its warmth. Martha was the heart of it, practical, generous, ever-moving. Her hands shaped bread, poured water, folded linen. But her eyes watched the road. And one day, he came. Jesus of Nazareth, the teacher, the healer, the promised one. She had heard the rumors, yes, but more than that, she felt the stirrings of something deeper. When he approached, she did not hesitate. She opened her door and her life, inviting the rabbi in with the reverence due a king and the affection due a friend. As he entered, something shifted. The house felt fuller, the air sweeter. Mary, her sister, immediately sat at his feet, hanging on every word. But Martha moved, preparing, arranging, working. She wanted everything to be perfect. The bread just right, the wine clear, the table clean. Yet even in her busyness, she listened. His voice filled the house, and her heart, though distracted, was drawn to him. She was the kind of woman who bore the weight of others gladly. She saw needs and met them, not for praise, but because love moved her hands. And so, in serving Jesus, she did not seek to impress, she sought to honor. She did not yet know how closely service and sanctity would walk together in her life. Bethany would never be the same. With Jesus' visits, it became more than a village home. It became a dwelling of friendship with God, where miracles would one day bloom, and where sorrow and joy would meet beneath the gaze of the Savior. In the house of Martha, the holy found a home. Chapter 2. The Sister's Burden. Martha was a woman of action. While Mary sat quietly at Jesus' feet, Martha moved swiftly, her hands busy with tasks that seemed endless. She carried the weight of hospitality on her shoulders, determined that every guest be cared for, every detail attended. Yet beneath her bustling exterior, a restlessness stirred. One day, as the guests lingered and the bread seemed never to finish baking, she approached Jesus with a quiet frustration. "Lord," she said, "do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work alone? Tell her to help me." Her words were not harsh, but honest, a cry from a heart stretched thin by duty and longing for support. Jesus looked at her with gentle eyes, but also with a challenge. "Martha, Martha," he said softly, "you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken away from her." These words pierced Martha's heart. They did not condemn her effort, but invited her to see beyond the immediate tasks, to recognize that presence, the gift of listening, of stillness, of faith, was greater than any service. In that moment, Martha learned a lesson that would shape her soul, that serving Christ was not only in the doing, but in the being. The balance between action and contemplation, between labor and love, was delicate and divine. Though challenged, she did not abandon her work, but her heart softened. She began to understand that her love could be shown both in service and in silence, in action and in faith. And so, in the humble house of Bethany, a disciple's heart was deepened, preparing her for the trials and miracles to come. Chapter 3. The Raising of Lazarus. Bethany's peaceful rhythm was shattered by sorrow when Lazarus, Martha's beloved brother, fell gravely ill. The urgent news reached Jesus, but he stayed 2 more days before setting out for the village, a delay that confused and pained those who waited anxiously. When Jesus finally arrived, the air was thick with grief and the weight of loss. Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Martha met him on the road, her heart torn between faith and despair, caught between the harsh reality of death and the hope she held in Jesus. "Lord," she said with quiet strength, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I believe that God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus spoke words that would resonate through the centuries. Your brother will rise again. Though Martha had faith in the resurrection at the end of days, these words sparked a new hope deep within her, a hope for a miracle in the present. Jesus walked solemnly to the tomb, surrounded by mourners. Mary, Martha's sister, fell at his feet, weeping bitter tears. Jesus wept too, God's own tears for human pain and loss. Then, with a voice full of divine authority that pierced the silence of death, Jesus called out, "Lazarus, come forth." From the dark silence of the tomb came a miracle. Lazarus emerged, alive and wrapped in burial cloths. The crowd was stunned into awe. Martha's faith was rewarded beyond measure, witnessing the impossible made real. This miracle revealed the profound power of Christ, not only over sickness and death, but over human fear and doubt. It was a defining moment that transformed Martha's understanding of faith and her role as a disciple of the Lord. Bethany became a beacon of hope, a sacred place where the impossible was made possible, and where faith was proven alive and vibrant. Chapter 4. Serving the Master. Martha was widely known not only for her faith, but for her tireless spirit of hospitality. In the humble home of Bethany, she took upon herself the joyful yet demanding task of preparing and serving meals whenever Jesus and his disciples came to visit. Her hands were always busy, kneading dough, lighting fires, arranging dishes, but her heart was fully devoted to welcoming the Lord with honor and love. Yet, amid her bustling activity, a restlessness grew within her. On one such afternoon, as the fragrance of fresh bread filled the air and pots simmered on the fire, Martha glanced toward the room where her sister Mary sat quietly at Jesus' feet. Mary listened intently to his every word, completely absorbed, while Martha toiled alone with the weight of preparations pressing down on her. Frustration flickered in Martha's eyes. She felt overlooked, burdened by the many tasks that seemed endless, while Mary appeared to do nothing but sit and listen. Finally, she approached Jesus and spoke with a mix of earnest concern and quiet reproach. "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her to help me." Jesus looked upon Martha with kindness and compassion and replied gently, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." Though Martha's heart was humbled by his words, she understood the deeper truth behind them. Serving was not merely about tasks and duties, but an expression of love and faith. Through her service, she was creating a space of welcome for the Lord, a sacred home for him and his followers. From that day forward, Martha embraced her role with renewed purpose, not as a burden, but as a sacred mission. She came to see that faith is not only found in prayer and listening, but also in the humble acts of service that bless others. Bethany thrived because of her. The village became a refuge, a beacon of hospitality and devotion. Her house stood as a sanctuary where work and worship lived side by side, each honoring the Master in its own way. Martha's example reminds us today that the smallest acts of kindness, done with love and faith, carry eternal meaning. Serving others, even in silence and labor, is a powerful form of discipleship, an offering of the heart to the one who serves us all. Chapter 5. The resurrection of Lazarus. The village of Bethany was soon shaken by news that Lazarus, Martha and Mary's beloved brother, had fallen gravely ill. Despite their pleas for help, Lazarus passed away, leaving sorrow heavy in the air. Martha's heart ached with a mixture of grief and faith. She believed Jesus could heal, but this time, her hope was tested by the finality of death. When Jesus arrived, Martha hurried to meet him, her voice trembling yet filled with conviction. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus replied with a promise that echoed beyond time. "Your brother will rise again." Though others saw only a tomb sealed by stone, Martha glimpsed the power of the resurrection itself. Jesus approached the cave where Lazarus lay and commanded, "Take away the stone." Despite her fears, Martha obeyed, revealing the dark entrance to the tomb. With a voice both commanding and tender, Jesus called, "Lazarus, come out." To the astonishment of all, the dead man emerged, wrapped in burial cloths, alive once more. Martha fell to her knees, overwhelmed by the miracle that testified to Jesus' divine authority over life and death. This moment sealed Martha's legacy not only as a devoted servant, but as a witness to the victorious power of Christ. Through sorrow, she found unwavering faith. Through service, she found divine purpose. And through the miracle of Lazarus, she showed the world that with Christ, even death itself could be overcome. Her story inspires us to hold fast in times of despair, to serve faithfully, and to believe in the miracles that flow from a heart surrendered to God. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the inspiring life of Saint Martha, a true disciple of the Lord. Her story of faith, service, and courage reminds us that even in the busiest moments, love and devotion light the way. We hope this tale has touched your heart and strengthened your spirit. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more stories of saints and heroes of faith. May St. Martha's example inspire you to serve with joy and trust in God's miraculous power in your own life. Thank you for watching, and God bless you always.